gothic right now.
Well, I'm wearing pink and pearls, but I think it's the hair looking dark and skin looking pale that's getting the real kind of goth energy.
Is it the dark lip? Hey, I'm Ellen. Hey if you're new here, and hi if you're old here. So today we are making a video all about body positivity and the rise of kind of like the mid-size influencer. And I kind of wanted to start with a big kind of disclaimer and also a little bit of a trigger warning for this video, so you can decide if it's something that you want to watch or not. So obviously for this video, because of the nature of the topic, I will be discussing weight and weight loss. So if that's something that triggers you or you're not comfortable with watching, please just don't watch this video. I won't necessarily be discussing it in a negative way, but it will be a topic that comes up obviously throughout the video. So if that is something you feel uncomfortable with, then please don't watch the video. I also wanted to make a kind of disclaimer start of this video. If you've been keeping up with my content recently, or you've been or you've come from another video, then remember to subscribe if you have, and if you enjoyed the video throughout. But I am kind of making these almost like social commentary videos at the moment, and my kind of inspiration around these videos is talking about things that I am either a part of the community of online, or some like content that I kind of surround myself with quite heavily, and I'm using these videos to kind of take a more analytical look at this kind of the content I consume online, and how this could be affecting myself and also other people who consume this content, and kind of maybe trying to get us to look a bit more critically, and trying to get myself to look a bit more critically at the content that I consume online, and what it really does to, what it means in the kind of grander scheme of society, and what it does to us when we kind of consume it as well. So that is the kind of preface of this video, and I guess the disclaimer side of that is obviously a lot of these topics do feature around stuff that mainly women are into, and I don't want this content to ever come across as me bashing things that women are into, because that is not what its intention is at all. And I really hope that that doesn't, I think especially with the kind of topic of this video, I really hope that that's not what comes across. And I hope that with all kind of the analytical side of this content, you can also kind of, if you watch all the way to the end, get to my kind of positive spin that I like to kind of conclude with. So now you've gone through 3 minutes of my disclaimer, let's get into the video. So I thought I would start with talking about my story and the content I create online. So if you have come from my Instagram, then you'll know that my Instagram is Ellensinwonderland. If you don't, then my Instagram is Ellensinwonderland. And I used to create a lot of kind of body positivity, mid-size styling content. I still create styling content, and I still occasionally pop up in my underwear, but I have tried to move away from it being anything to do with my appearance, and kind of more towards the styling side of things. And this is all because I think I fell into that world accidentally, and because I was talking about my health, I live with a chronic illness, and I was talking about that a lot, and then how living with that affected my self-worth when it came to my appearance. Living with a chronic illness and the medication I was on made me put on a lot of weight, changed my appearance dramatically in terms of the way steroids affect your face. And I also have a condition called alopecia areata, which meant that I lost patches of my hair all over my head. So my outward appearance was very affected by what was going on inside my body, and I talked about this a lot online, and I think this kind of pushed me into falling into the kind of body positivity movement that exists on Instagram. And because of this, I ended up kind of rolling with that content. If you kind of make that content online, you'll know that it gets good interactions because people relate to it. So the interactions you get from that sort of content's really good, and when you're getting good interactions from something, the algorithm obviously kind of pushes you to continue making that content because you know it's going to do well. So I did fall into that trap definitely of continuing to try and make that content because I know it would perform well, which now isn't necessarily the right way to be making things, but I did. I have also lived with an ED before, so I probably should put I mean, I had the trigger warning at the beginning, but I'm going to briefly discuss EDs now, so if that's a trigger for you, please switch off the video. I had lived with an ED in my early 20s, and I've kind of struggled with my appearance, and especially in terms of my weight for quite a big part of my life. And I think having and living with an ED is something that never really leaves you. I'm still very triggered by kind of numbers, so I can't really count calories, I can't weigh myself, that sort of thing triggers me a lot, so I don't tend to talk about that at all when it comes to any form of weight loss. I actually today had a hospital appointment where they have to weigh me because it's for my arthritis, and I'd lost quite a bit of weight from my previous appointment, and he told me the numbers I'd lost, and I was talking to my sister and she was like, don't be silly about anything, and I was like, this is why I don't weigh myself, because I could very easily get obsessed with the numbers, and I very much choose to take myself out of that. So that's a little bit of my story. I've spoken a little bit about my ED on Instagram, mainly when it's just the awareness day. I don't like to mention it too much otherwise, because I do think that it's something that a lot of women live with, and I just don't like to talk about it too much. It's not something I really feel that comfortable talking about, and I think that it's quite hard to get over it. So yeah, it's not something I sort of avoid talking about it a little bit, but I have mentioned it before, and again kind of is something that kind of pushes me into this body confidence world on the internet. I've also really recently got really into the gym, so I probably go to the gym about 5 times a week, and it has affected my physical health positively, of course it has, but it's affected my mental health and my kind of quality of life amazingly. And again, we'll get into this a bit more as we get through the video, but this is something I've also sort of avoided talking about online because of being part of this kind of body positive influencer world. I am going to get into this more in the video, but it's definitely something I have avoided talking about because of the kind of connotations around it, I guess. And again, this is something I'm going to get into in the video, kind of swapping up how we can talk about these things in a more positive way, in my opinion. So we'll get into that in the video, but again, and a little bit more about me. That is everything you need to know about kind of my story and why I feel like I can talk about this and my kind of experiences and opinions to start with. I think it's also important that we set the context for what the body positivity movement is, where it started, and then kind of move on to the analytical side of it. So let's head on into that. So at its core, the body positivity movement is all about accepting your body no matter what form your body is in, whether that is in terms of race or disability or weight. It is just about accepting your body and loving your body in the state that it's in. And it's seen that the kind of first use of the term body positivity came about, I think, in the late 1960s. So in 1969, an engineer who was angry about the way the world was treating fat people, mainly because of the way they're stereotyped in media and just kind of treated in general everyday to-day life, they created the National Association to Aid Fat Americans, which is now the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. That's what it is now today, and it's the world's longest running fats rights organisation. And at this time it was called the Fat Acceptance Movement, and it just really existed to end fat shaming and discrimination against people who didn't fit into society's size mould. But it wasn't until 1996 that the word body positivity came into play. After entering into eating disorder treatment, a psychotherapist coined the term and also created the website bodypositivity.org to help people just accept and love their body shape. And this was the beginning of the time that society decided to no longer just see skinny as the only way that your body can be worthy and loved. 2012 saw the first kind of body positive campaign, which was the Dove All Bodies Matter, I think it was called. Let me double check that I've written it down. All Bodies Are Beautiful campaign, which really sort of kick-started the kind of more mainstreaming of the body positivity movement. And from here on, the body positivity movement has really grown online. And we can see this from the amount of people who are benefiting off this movement on social media, both in a positive and negative way. And that is going to be the next section of this video essay, is going to be talking about how everybody's view on what body positivity is very different. So I think we need to start this section by saying that it is quite apparent from social media that the narrative has changed within the body positivity movement. At the beginning, it was all about allowing people of different colours, disability, trans men, trans women to accept their bodies as worthy and as good bodies just the way they are. However, this seems to have moved on and almost been taken over and saturated by weight, and weight kind of exclusively. When you think of body positivity, that's what you think of. And I think in my world on social media, and kind of the thing I want to kind of focus and hone in on this video, is kind of the mid-size style movement that is so massive on Instagram at the moment. I honestly don't think it's through any real fault of the people who are making this content. I have obviously been part of this and made this content, but it has definitely overshadowed the real kind of crux of where body positivity started, because a lot of the bodies that are now participating in this movement also fit into a society beauty standard. And it's almost as though we've gone from this kind of 90s, when this first started, that very kind of skinny, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels beauty standard that the body positivity movement was first created to fight against in a slight way, has now moved into this new society accepted standard of kind of mini fat, where you're still a body shape and size that is accepted by society, but because you're in the kind of mid-size, which is still kind of straight size, you can still walk into any shop and buy your clothes, side of weight, there's this new trend that is mid-size styling and body positivity. I'm all for women being positive about their bodies in any way they want to, of course. Like, I'm not knocking that in the slightest, but the thing that is kind of doesn't sit right from people who are maybe could benefit more from the body positivity movement is that it seems to be kind of overshadowing and holding the mic back from a lot of people who really are really affected by how society treats them based on their appearance on a daily basis. The movement still seems very much to be contributing to portraying society's beauty standards. The main kind of people that are part of this movement are straight-sized white women who are contorting their bodies into different shapes to show that you should be proud of your roles and happy with them no matter what you look like. And while this is all well and good, it's kind of going back to that point that it is still contributing to beauty standards, and it's very much revolved around how you look and having to be positive and feel beautiful, whereas it doesn't really leave room for you to have a bad day, or for you to kind of be okay with not being beautiful or not liking how you look or that not being the most important thing about you, because body positivity now is so pushed by your outward appearance and being okay with that, rather than thinking about what your body does for you. And that's definitely the next bit of this video that I'm going to move on to, but there are another few points that I kind of want to talk about throughout this as well. So, as it focuses so heavily on outward appearance and feeling happy and proud of your body, it doesn't leave... Sorry, my camera died, so I'm hoping this will last to the end of the video. But basically what I was saying is the body positivity mid-size style movement, as it is at the moment, focuses a lot on your actual outward appearance, and it doesn't really leave you much room to be having a bad day. There's a lot of parts within this movement that could be seen in a way as toxic positivity, and people are kind of coining it toxic body positivity, where it tells you to love your body no matter what. Of course, just isn't really very realistic. It's okay to have bad days and to feel all your feelings, especially when it comes to your body and your appearance. And not only is it okay to have a bad day, it also feels like there isn't a lot of room to want to change your body within this movement. I noticed this a lot when I wanted to start talking about the fact that I was going to the gym more and wanting to start to lose weight. I felt really uncomfortable talking about the fact that I wanted to change my body, because you can be happy with your body and still want to change it. I truly believe that. But it's also okay to not be happy with your body, and we've seen this a lot through plus size celebrities and the intense reaction they get to either wanting to change their body or changing their body in general. We saw this through Adele's weight loss after she went away for a bit, lost all the weight, and she was almost met with more body shaming from her previous body shaming before, and she was attacked for, I guess, what people viewed as giving into the patriarchy and society's view of how she should look, when in fact she just wanted to change, and that's okay. It came from her. But she was met with so much body shaming. The same with the way people are now viewing Rebel Wilson. Now she's lost weight as well. She was, you know, playing this character, and her whole kind of acting persona was always built around the narrative that fat is funny, and if she's the love interest in something, that's like a radical decision. And then she decided to lose weight and was met with more body shaming on top of this. And also we saw this with Lizzo and the juice cleanse debacle, when she posted the TikTok that she was on a juice cleanse, and she was attacked so heavily that she had to post another TikTok to kind of counteract this and be like, look guys, I didn't do this for weight, I did it for how my body and my mental health feels. And it was just met with such outrage that it feels like within this movement now there isn't any room to want to change anything. And I think kind of a big part of the body positivity movement is that this image sells. And I kind of, in a little way, going back to my previous video I made talking about kind of the profiteering off you not loving yourself, there's a little bit of that energy that appears in the body positivity movement, because especially kind of the fashion side of things, people are profiteering off their image, as they always have been. And I talk about this more in my previous video about the kind of profiting off you not feeling good enough about yourself. But a lot of the kind of body positivity content, although it's pushing you to feel better about yourself and the way your body looks, it's still, you're clicking on it and engaging with it because you don't feel good enough about yourself, and you want some of that energy. And going back to this point that any kind of want or need to change feels quite taboo in this industry. We see this a lot from, I'd say she's like a body activist, Tess Halliday. So she is a plus size model. She, I think, was the first size 22 to like ever walk on a runway, and her brand is body positivity and body activism. And she has mentioned in many articles herself that she feels a lot of guilt around wanting to change and actively avoids changing and keeps herself the way she is because she knows that it won't be appealing to her follower base if she is to change or lose any weight. So this is a really kind of another interesting example of a celebrity who can't change because of the way she'll be viewed by society and her fans if she chooses to. She created the hashtag F your body standards and is really kind of pushing the fat acceptance side of body positivity. I think kind of, sorry, I've been jumping around a lot here. I know I kind of wanted to focus on the kind of the mid-sized style influencer, but I think there's a lot of kind of nuance around it, obviously. But going back to the mid-sized style side of body positivity influencing, it almost seems that anybody who exists online as a size 12 plus seems to be pushed into this kind of mid-sized style narrative and body positivity narrative, whether they like it or not, almost. And then I think a lot, like I mentioned at the beginning about myself, of us tend to run with it because it works and people relate to it, so it helps you grow and it gets good engagement. So people do tend to run with it kind of without questioning the connotations behind it, and I almost kind of strengthens that narrative that being bigger in society just isn't accepted. And if anybody over a size 12 feels strongly enough about being bigger in society that they need to kind of push a narrative of body positivity and body acceptance because they feel that society doesn't view them as worthy as somebody smaller, I can't even begin to imagine the impact that has on anyone who's over a size 18 and actually can't walk into every single shop they want and buy the clothes they want. They don't see their body represented everywhere because mid-sized style has become more like more media, like there's a lot more media coverage and a lot more kind of visibility on bodies that are mid-size, but there still is a lot of stigma around plus size, that almost the mid-size style is maybe even strengthening the kind of negative narrative behind this. And this is why I want to move on to the next bit of the video, which is talking about body neutrality. Body neutrality, which is kind of this new, it's not actually new, it did actually come about around the same time that body positivity started in 2012, or the real kind of crux of it did. Body neutrality was the almost kind of like controversial little sis that had a lot to say about the body positivity movement, and I actually kind of relate a lot more and want to kind of talk a lot more about this body neutrality thing because I think it could be and is a really positive thing that's sort of like up and coming in this space, but for some reason doesn't quite seem to have caught on in the same way body positivity has, and I'm sure there's lots of reasons for that, and let's dig into what it is and why. So I've got a quote here that tells us what body neutrality means. So the term was coined in 2015 as bloggers, celebrities and intuitive eating coaches helped promote this movement to steer away from the link between physical appearance and self-worth. And I think that is the main point here, in that so much body positivity content online is exclusively about you loving your body. Whereas, and then like I mentioned, there is a lack of kind of There's a lack of it being okay to not love your body, and body neutrality promotes accepting your body as it is and recognizing its remarkable abilities and non-physical characteristics instead of physical appearance. So taking a neutral perspective towards your body and appreciating that you might not love your body every single day, but you always love what it does for you or what's going on in your mind. And I think, especially to me as someone with a chronic illness, this is so much more important and so much more powerful, in my opinion. And I've made a few notes around this here. So I've written, who cares what I look like? I'm so much more than that. And I think that's probably the kind of biggest point around this. It is lack of attachment to your looks, and I think somebody in the public eye who's promoted this amazingly is Jameela Jamil. I know there's all sorts of people have all their opinions on her, but her creation of the Eyeway account and everything that she has outwardly said that she dislikes about the body positivity industry has really pushed people's interest in body neutrality. Helps you kind of detract your self-worth from your appearance. And I think it's very important to note, and something that she says quite often, is that she really recognises her privilege as a beautiful straight-sized woman. It is easy for her to kind of fall into this body neutrality world because of her privilege, basically, and she has acknowledged that, and I think it would be silly to kind of disregard it. I think kind of my conclusion for this video, and I know I've just touched a little on body neutrality, and if you want me to make a whole video about body neutrality in itself, then I would be more than happy to, because it's definitely something I want to talk about more. The whole kind of where I was leading to basically on this video is the fact that there are many flaws in what we see as the body positivity movement at the moment, and kind of main thing that's made me notice this is being part of the kind of mid-size influencer world, as I really don't kind of think that it's inclusive and think that it's serving everybody in the way that the body positivity movement originated and should be. Whereas when it comes to body neutrality, I've actually written a good line for this and I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm going to read it. The movement encourages you to take the meaning and self-worth out of how you look and place it on other things, and I think there's something really beautiful about that. And that was kind of my key quote that I wrote down when I was doing my research into the body neutrality movement. There's obviously pros and cons in both movements, and I think if used together they can really beautifully exist, and there's probably this kind of in between them both that is like this sweet spot that's just the perfect way to feel about your body. But like always, feeling perfect about your body is not a realistic like archetype, and not a realistic thing that can happen for a lot of people. And I think the main kind of crux of it is it's really important to have good self-esteem and work on your self-esteem, and for this to be most productive, that should exist outside of how your body appears, outside of how your body looks to everybody else. And it's easy for me to say that, and I know I'm coming from a place of privilege in the same way that Jameela Jamil speaks about this, because I am obviously straight-sized, white, able-bodied, so it's easy for me to be like, I don't need to think about my body, when a lot of people do need to think about how they look. And there is a place for the body positivity movement to really kind of stand for and represent these people, and I think these are the people that the mic needs to be passed to when it comes to this movement. And I think that other people need to look at what's inside, because looks can fade, and no matter if you and change, and no matter if you learn to love your body in the way it appears right this second doesn't mean that at any moment that could be taken away from you. And if you've placed a lot of your self-worth in how your body looks right this moment, rather than focusing on the more kind of internal stuff, then it's going to be hard to kind of make that step again to accepting your new body, whether this is pre-pregnancy or post-pregnancy, or an illness happens, or you just age, and society obviously views aging in a very negative way as well. So there's all these extra layers that with body positivity it doesn't quite get to the crux to, like your body changing and that sort of thing, whereas body neutrality kind of gives you a little bit more of a well-rounded view of yourself. And that's it for the video, guys. I really hoped you enjoyed what I had to say. I would love if you would leave in the comments anything you feel about this. Happy to kind of debate it and chat about it. That's what these videos are all about. Share with your friends, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe, and I'll see you next Monday at 6. Bye, guys.